So, Dana White declares war on the PFL and Francis Ngannou. Donn Davis was playing nice guy. Oh, I'll be the co-leader with the UFC. Oh, we're going to be number 2. Dana White doesn't do that Chinese Confucian babble. A winner doesn't need to have a loser. We don't need to be number 1. We just need to be better on our own. Dana White uses Alexander the Great tactics of we're the only empire in town. Now, if you want to be kept up to speed, PFL owner Donn Davis made news when asked his favourite fight. He ended up basically exposing he doesn't watch MMA. He tries to gaslight a little by saying, I own an MMA promotion, I watch too much, I'm working all the time, but when finally pushed to answer the question, he answers Hagler vs Hearns, a boxing fight from the 70s. If you can't answer what's your favourite MMA fight, you're not even just a casual. It's fine to be a casual. I'm sure casuals are watching this who can have an answer themselves. You're not an MMA fan at all, full stop. If you can't answer what's your favourite MMA fight, you're a businessman. I posted a video on this a few days ago if you'd like to see the interview clip and my thoughts. But that was an interview from Mike Heck, journalist from MMA Fighting. Shout out to him. Follow him on social media if you'd like to. So it was smart of Dana to use that headline to his advantage here. I mean, I already see online comments making fun of Donn Davis now. So in this interview, the media kept asking questions about Francis Ngannou and the PFL, and Dana White, sneakily, already had a spreadsheet prepared comparing Power Slap to PFL. It may be possible he saw that headline and the media was told to ask them questions. I'm going to take a few quotes and expand my thoughts on them, but the full video source is on the MacLife channel. Okay, timestamp 308. Oscar Willis asked Dana a question about Donn Davis. Dana immediately starts laughing and says that guy is hilarious. Donn Davis had said Francis Ngannou vs Jon Jones breaks all the numbers of any event the UFC could put on this year. Dana White brings out the dreaded spreadsheet. If any of you remember the Oscar De La Hoya beef, Dana would bring out the spreadsheet, comparing numbers to every press conference. So Dana is looking for war here. He says Donn should forget the UFC. The PFL can't even beat slap fighting. Compares all sorts of numbers like the views PFL got with Cristiano Ronaldo reacting to their fight, and Dana compares it with a random slap fight contest, and Dana says it beats them. Now, if you know anything about Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts and TikToks, I do know because this was a channel that was all YouTube Shorts for a while. The views you get are pretty random. The algorithm favours a quantity over quality approach. So a man eating spaghetti can get tens of millions of more views than Cristiano Ronaldo scoring a goal. But still, Dana is correct. Power Slap does do more numbers than the PFL as it stands today. I mean, ESPN Plus pay-per-view numbers came out for Francis Ngannou versus Renan Ferreira. It was 10,000 pay-per-view buys domestically in the US. And that's the biggest event they could put on. Francis Ngannou's return to MMA against a scary Brazilian. Now, would Power Slap do more buys? I don't know about that, but I'd say Power Slap is more popular. I know it sounds funny, but it's actually very popular. So moving on to 610, Oscar Willis then asks Dana White's favourite MMA fight, poking fun at Donn Davis' inability to answer that question. Dana White says Donn is obviously not an MMA fan. Yeah, that is true. Then pokes holes in Donn's claim that he's an amazing businessman, that he is not someone you'd want to invest your money in. Now, I have little knowledge of if Donn Davis is a great businessman, but maybe someone could answer that question in the comments. So moving on to 11:40, the interviewer asks, most MMA fans dream about a fight with Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. Dana quips back that fans are actually dreaming of Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Finally, Tom gets some acknowledgement from the UFC. But I would say fans prefer Tom Aspinall now, but obviously we take either of them versus Jon Jones next. Okay, next one, timestamp 13:48. An interviewer asks, everything aside, what do you think about Francis Ngannou's performance? Dana doesn't take that, okay, let's answer this honestly. Dana quips back it was better than Donn Davis. Seriously, Donn Davis needs to hit the panic room. He has become Dana White's arch rival. But Dana says Francis is all about the money. He knew if he fought Jon Jones and didn't win it, it would hurt his chances of making the money he wanted. But, and this is an interesting point here, realistically, his deal was bigger in the UFC. He says it can't be denied and he wouldn't even care to lie about it. So Francis being all about the money, I can get where he's coming from, as Francis tried to make it look like he was standing up for all the fighters' rights. But yeah, everyone's about the money, it's a business. We don't really have the numbers, apart from speculation, to confirm or deny Francis had a bigger deal in the UFC though. It would be interesting to hear Francis' response to that, because we've got nothing really, it's just speculation. Now lastly, when Francis was on 2 losses, one to Stipe and the other to Derek Lewis, Dana wanted to cut him. I'm not surprised, Dana White always hated Francis Ngannou's personality. And Dana has a bit of a rage issue. Francis Ngannou could have turned out very differently if that would have occurred. His rebuilding process ending with the revenge against Stipe made him a big player in MMA. So that's a crazy timeline if you think about it that way. Anyway, these are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments.